So let's begin. For those who have a brand new store, or maybe some of you already did a few of these things, I'm just going to run through the steps. I'm not going to get into each detail of the step. If you have questions about a certain detail of the step as I'm going through it, post it in the chat, and I'm going to try to address it, or Sam will address it while I'm presenting something else. Let's start with a store setup, which is the first step. So I'm going to tell you why you need certain things and how you do them. Of course, if it's simple, I'll just show you, but if it's not simple, I'm just going to tell you to refer back to the tutorial. So you might want to just write down which tutorial you should go back to, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so first thing is company settings, and that's located under store management settings. Again, if you go to your tutorial, store setup, tutorial 5.1 shows you how to enter everything. And a few things that you want to do in the store settings, I guess I'll just go over the important factors, and everything else is self-explanatory. So this is it, company settings. One of the things you want to do is make sure your invoice logo is selected. And you can either upload your own logo, or if you press default, it's going to automatically upload it for you. You don't have to worry about any of these options. You do want to go to Contact Us and fill all this information out, including your phone number. You also want to fill out your business hours. These business hours are going to be displayed on the Contact Us page of your website. So this is the back office, Secret Weapon Performance. This is the front end of the website, Secret Weapon Performance, so you can see exactly what's happening here. So basically, we have the business hours here, and they're being driven from here. You want to set this up so individuals or customers who want to reach you know when they can call, and they're not going to get upset if they call after or before hours. So you want to set up the time zone. If you have a toll-free number, you can set it up here. By the way, as far as a toll-free number, I just added a new product to Shopping Cart Elite. If you go to download software, on the bottom here, I'm offering a toll-free, 5,000 minutes of toll-free landline with a fax. You can see everything in here included. $45 a month, and it's US and Canada unlimited. And if you get this specific feature, you also get the click-to-call functionality. So on the website, if somebody doesn't want to call your number and rather have you call them, they can press this click-to-call here, and they would enter their phone number. So they would put it in here. They would say, call me right now, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, say call, and it would dial the number for them. So it has a bunch of other features. You can check it out later. You want to fill your company name. Maybe you want to put the website name instead of the legal name. This way on invoices and email confirmations, they'll see the company name where they ordered, not your legal name. We do also have the legal name here, and the legal name is really made for later on for accounting purposes, and actually for your merchant account on the step 4 of the checkout before, well, step 3 actually, when your customer checks out, before he presses proceed to finalize the checkout, it tells him that you will see a credit charge from this company, and this company is driven from the legal name. So you do want to fill that out. As, whatever the name is going to show up on their credit card statement, you want to put that information in. This way, they won't be confused on what they ordered if your website name is different from your legal name. We have sales tax payment methods. I'm just going to jump to these two. Sales tax, self-explanatory. You put, if any tax applies to your state, you put it in. You can say if it's taxing, shipping, and handling as well or not. For payment methods, if you have a merchant account, you want to fill this merchant account. If you don't have a merchant account, you can get one from Payleap. If you go to Shopping Cart Elite, click on Partners, Payleap merchant account, you click on this and fill out the form. They charge you $29 per month for the account, and that's it. There is no other fees associated to it other than the transaction fees when you process orders. So if you have a merchant account, there's a bunch of gateways that you can integrate to, so you can just choose one, fill in your information. When you set up your store in the very beginning, It's set up for authorized only international and domestic. I'm not going to go into a lot of details. I definitely think you should go over this information. Tutorial 5.7.1 and 5.7.2 goes over this information on how you should charge your orders. To give you a really brief breakdown of what this means, authorized only means customer places an order, you ask their credit card, do they have money, and you reserve it, but you don't actually charge it. You can charge it before the item ships or after the item ships, after you confirm that you can really get the item. Charge means you charge them automatically, and if you can't get the item, you'll just refund them. There's pros and cons to this. Obviously, charge is easier, but if you keep refunding a lot of people, you might get your merchant account frozen. And for international, you want to have authorized only because sometimes there might be like a chargeback because the address verification system does not consider international orders. So you want to get a signature confirmation. I have it under charge here because whenever international orders come in, I see that it's international, and I automatically call the customer and make sure they sign whatever paperwork needs to be signed. And my items are low-dollar items in this store, like $100 to $200. So just in case I need to refund one order, that's fine. And my inventory in this store is 100%, so it's always in stock. So I feel comfortable charging everybody and not worrying about authorizing and then charging them later. And there's also different overrides that you can set up for fraud protection. So basically, just go through those tutorials. They're very important because if you don't go through them and you make an order and you get a chargeback afterwards, you'll feel sorry you didn't go through the tutorials because you're going to lose money. PayPal, Express Checkout, there's a tutorial here for PayPal merchant application. Express Checkout is free, and you can set it up so you can accept PayPal. Check money order, you need that if you want to put cash transactions inside of your store. So you have wire transfer, e-check, and grace period is if you're doing wholesale, you're doing cash and delivery or something else for wholesale like net terms, you need to fill this one out. So this is it for, actually we have RMAs, which is the last thing. RMA is a return merchandise authorization. You just want to set up if you allow returns, allow exchanges, if you allow store credits or not, what's the restocking fee, what's the period that they can fill out a return, and do you require a return tracking number before they put the claim in or not, and do you default to not refund them the original shipping. So you can set up these settings so your RMAs would be set up properly. Now there's, like I said before, there's optional tutorials. I'm not going to go through them because they're not really necessary, but just in case you want to go through them, you're welcome to. I'm not going to go through them in this webinar because these are basically defaulted and they're already set up for you, so you can basically proceed to the next step. Okay, so once you set up the settings of your store, then you can proceed on to the website settings, which is the step 2. So here's the recommended ones. We have the website settings. So we have store here, and website is right to the right of it. So the website settings, you want to set up your homepage title, very important. You want to put the main keywords you want to rank for in your homepage title. Obviously, description, keywords, and for the footer, you might want to say copyright by whatever. So I actually don't have a tutorial today, which is June 9th, about optimizing your homepage, but I am planning to have one next week. And it's actually going to have its own category called Optimizing Your Homepage, which is going to go over some of the tricks that you might want to consider when doing stuff to your homepage. But basically, this is the first part of it, so you want to fill this information out. Then if we click on Settings, this is actually configuring like the buttons and what to display on your homepage. So I'm going to just go to the homepage real quick. So the buttons we're talking about are these, and then the banners are these, like vehicle, products, brands, and so on. So you can set up which buttons you want to show up on your on the top here, and I guess use common sense on what's relevant to your customers as far as the buttons. See, there's a default title here. We're talking about this title right here. So if you want to make a custom one, you can. You can just fill this out, and it's going to make a custom title for this. And you can check mark if you want to show brands, categories, and vehicle search on your home page on the main banner, and if you don't want any of them, you can just disable them. You can also set up if you want to show featured products, new products, main categories, and specials, and you have different ones here. I'm going to have a tutorial about what's good and what's not good for optimizing different kinds of stores on how you should set it up. So watch for the tutorial. It's going to be in the back office about that. But for now, you can just put whatever you think it looks nice. Side menu is this side menu here, so you can basically set up whatever you want to display here. Social networks is the buttons on the very bottom here. So if you want to have YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and so on, so you can put these URLs and the buttons will show up automatically. And on the product page, this is a product category / product page. So here we have how you want to display the products. Personally, I recommend that you keep it vertical unless you have actually this view here. Let me just make sure you know how it looks like. You keep this view here unless you have only a few items. So as you can see, we only have 2 items here, which is why it was defaulted to this view. But if you have a lot of items, and let's just click on air intakes, and here, 26 items. So if you have a lot of items, you want to have this view because you want to try to fit as much stuff as you can on your category page. You want to have this view if you have a lot of items in your categories. It says here how many items are going to display per page, sort. If you want to expand the filter, this is the filter here. So how many rows you want to set it up for, 3 to 5. This is for the product page. You can say, if you want to show the MSRP on the product page, jobber. If you want to show how much you save, if you want to show attachment and specifications. So basically, you can just choose whichever ones you think are relevant for your customers, and that's it. For link settings, this is your link exchanges. So we're going to go into that a little bit later, but this is where you would set up your reciprocal link information, which would be located here. This is basically for your link partners who want to link with you, and they access your website and they find your link information. You would tell them, this is what I want you to link to my website with. And you can set up multiple anchor texts. So you can set up multiple ways to link to you with different anchor texts, and they will randomly be switching around on this page. For the RSS feed shows up on your news feed, which is located right here. And I really like this feature because I don't have to maintain my own RSS feed if I don't want to. I can just tap into somebody else's RSS feed who's announcing new products that are relevant to me. So in my case here, I have an RSS feed from Webinar themselves, so from the official company. So I tap into their YouTube feed and I tap into their Twitter feed. So now it looks like I'm talking about the product, even though that's not me talking about it. And you can find, I don't think you should put some Yahoo News on here, but if you find different Twitter or YouTube accounts to products that are relevant to what you're selling, it's a good idea to put it in here so you can have, new content coming in all the time and you're not even maintaining it. Certainly you can put your own Twitter feed and your own YouTube feed, and you can even blog on your own website through general and RSS feeds and put your own information in, and it's going to show up here. But I use it for a site that I don't plan to maintain and just have it sitting there on autopilot generating orders. I just put somebody else's feeds so it's not empty and it just has relevant information. Okay, so under info, self-explanatory, you put in about us, terms, privacy policy, return policy. Actually, in the tutorials, you will find samples of these policies here so you don't have to try to figure out your own. Some of the recommended ones, as you can see, social networks, RSS feeds, which I showed you a second ago, setting up Twitter, if you want to set up your own Twitter. I encourage you to set up your own Twitter and use it for announcing new products whenever you have new products coming in, and announcing coupon codes weekly. So just put in coupons weekly for different products that you sell. The main reason why, because Twitter results actually get indexed and in Google, and they actually get Google just released a new search index called Caffeine yesterday, And what they're promising to do is basically put all Twitter and other live feeds ahead of the results. So basically people who want to see live stuff going on, live sales and whatever, they'll be able to now find it in the Google results. So a good idea would be, let's say you're selling, in my case, webinar. Somebody searches for secret webinar intake. I'll be able to keep putting a coupon code for secret weapon intake every week through Twitter, and what's going to end up happening is like Google and Yahoo is going to be picking up that information, and next time somebody says, webinar on sale or coupon code for webinar, they're going to end up seeing my tweet on Google and possibly going there, seeing I have a coupon code available, and then going to my site and ordering it. And a lot of times, it's actually a nice way to capture somebody else's traffic, because you know how some people have a promotional code on their checkout, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, I want to get a discount. So what they do is they go on Google and type in, webinar coupon code or something like that, and then the Twitter results will come up, and you'll be on there, and he'll be like, oh, there's a coupon code, and then he'll see, oh, it's a different website. Let me just go check it out there, and if you have a better price, they might buy it from you. So basically, keep in mind that Twitter is pretty important to set up for your business. And the last thing is your Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools and so on. So everything for Google is located under meta tags. And so your Google Webmaster ID, which allows you to validate with Google, and they show you a lot of different relevant stuff like what you're ranked for, and you need it also to submit it to your products to Google Base, and you submit your sitemap. So make sure you set up with Google, since they're going to be driving you traffic. Same thing goes for Bing and Yahoo. You want to set it up with them. Your Google Analytics, so you can see the traffic for your store through Google Analytics. Now, one thing though, we just enhanced the system so the dashboard actually shows you how much traffic you're getting. Some people were complaining that it's not matching to Google Analytics. It's actually not supposed to match, because Google Analytics filters results like spiders, and they actually don't have their ID being tracked. I don't believe they have it tracked in every single part of the website. What this analytics shows you is unique IP addresses that visit the website, which might be more than what Google records on their side, because Google has a bunch of filters which they filter out from the visits. Just keep that in mind. If you have any custom meta tags, and this could be like, different sites need different validations for whatever reason, you can just fill in your own meta tags here. So this is basically your website setup. Usually takes maybe 3 to 5 hours to get everything set up properly. So basically, your store setup will take you maybe under an hour. Your website setup will take you maybe, let's say it's 4 hours. Okay, so total is 5 here. For email setup, self-explanatory. When you first get your store, you already have a default email. If you need to add an email to your employee or to your own account, you would do it through emails. So you would go to emails, and you would click on whatever email you want this employee to see. That's how you would see your email account through the store. And if you want to set up more than one email, you can do it through here. For whatever reason your email does not work, just contact us and we'll fix it, because there could be different issues with it. But this tutorial will teach you how to use the email interface itself, how to set it up, and how to set up your notifications. The next step is what sells, finding what sells. These are my exclusive marketing videos, which are only available for shopping cart lead clients. And I actually made this one of the very first steps on the tutorials, because it's so important. Because a lot of people who are getting into this business, and some who have been in this business for years, still don't know what really sells, and they're just kind of guessing from the top of their head what they think sells. And they'll, personally, when I discovered these tools that I teach you in these tutorials, I was shocked myself to find, what actually sells at what price it sells. I was actually shocked at the fact that some of my discounts as a mass wholesale distributor for certain brands, if I was to go public, so if I was to go and sell retail with my master discounts, I would not be able to compete in the marketplace because you have either manufacturers side storing the products, or the distributors buying it at closeout prices and selling it. There's all kinds of things going on. So if you find a brand which is doing that, you might want to reconsider selling it or trying to even push it, or try to get a better price. And the final resort is, most likely, if they're selling it so cheap, they're probably beating your distributors in the first place. Like I said, for me, for example, if I was to sell it at the price, but let's say product A, one of the products, and product A in this example, I found it on eBay using these tools, and it was being sold for, I believe, $201. Buy it now with free shipping, and my master discount without shipping was like $200 or like $198, which means if I was to sell it to compete with this guy, I'd probably lose money, or in some cases I would break even selling it at my price. So maybe, if you think you can still sell the product and increase the price, maybe this is going to be a good way for you to find a new supplier who can beat your existing supplier. Or, if the product is good and there's a map price and it's being sold, at least you can find out exactly what sells and try to push it on your website. This is a must-watch tutorials. Don't even bother proceeding to the next step before watching this. You have to watch this. You have to understand it. You have to use the tools. Now, some of the tools here are paid tools, like you have to pay to get them. And I don't announce it here because, I don't want to get a flood of emails. I don't announce it in the tutorials. But in this webinar, and whoever's going to watch it from the recording, if you need these tools because you can't afford them because you're a very new business and you just don't have the extra cash to spend on tools to experiment, shoot me an email and I'll give you access to these tools, so you can kind of get an idea of what sells and so on. So basically, if you need help logging into any of these tools, just shoot us an email and we'll schedule a time to give you access to them. Of course, if you can afford them, go ahead and buy them. But if you can't, just let us know. So this is the recommended ones, and the optional ones is to sign up for some of these tools. And these two are specifically for spidering data from other websites, and this one is to become an importer if anyone is interested. Okay, so far what we got here is we know how to set up the store, our settings, we know how to set up our website, we know how to set up our email, and now we know what we're selling after watching these tutorials and figuring out, doing the research and figuring out what sells. So then the next step is finding suppliers for what we know that sells. And this is just how to add a supplier, and the screen is right here, adding suppliers. You just press new, title, contact, billing. I mean, this is all self-explanatory. Make sure, I know some people were setting their supplier as a warehouse. Warehouse means the supplier is yourself. You are your own warehouse. If your supplier is shipping it for you, that supplier is called a drop shipper. Shipping carrier is obviously UPS, FedEx, or whatever, and service provider is like, phone bill, Shopping Cart Elite would be considered a service provider because we just offer you a service, not products. So you can set up different settings for the suppliers. If you are your own warehouse, meaning you ship your own products, you have to set up a workflow for yourself, such as, packaging, and if you have manufacturing workflows like, make the product, go to the next step, package it, go to the next step, and so on. That's what workflows are. You can make your own workflows through store settings and set them up for this specific supplier, which would be yourself, so you would be doing this particular workflow. If your supplier has multiple warehouses for shipping, you can add all his warehouses here. This one is specifically for shipper settings, such as FedEx and so on. You can set up what your discount is, who the shipper is, and so on. Discounts is for dropship suppliers, so you can set up what brands they have and what discounts they offer to you, and then any orders they have and any open invoices they have. What you need to fill out, really, this is what I fill out when I get a new supplier. I put in their name, put in who the contact is there, put down dropship, put down the email, the phone number. These three get pre-filled automatically. Put their address, put their return and billing address by pressing the paste button. So you can just press paste, and that's it. And I'm done. I don't bother setting anything else up because I don't really need it. So that's all you need to do for the suppliers. And again, you can go through these tutorials to see how that would be done. Okay, so let's say you have the products you want to sell and you have the suppliers to sell. So now you're ready to set up your categories and brands, which would be done through store management product setup. These are long tutorials. This one is 10 minutes long. So this PDF is pretty long, but this is so you understand, because the product setup module is like probably one of the most complicated ones out of all e-commerce softwares I can even think of, because we made it so flexible and we have so many features in it. So it might be a little bit hard to understand in the beginning because it has just so much there, but you'll appreciate it once you start using it, and once you actually need options that are there later on, you'll appreciate it more because it's going to be available for you. So setting up categories, you go to Store Management Product Setup, go to Categories. You can set up categories. You can sort them by ABC order. I highly encourage you to sort them because otherwise it's kind of hard to navigate if they're not sorted for your visitors. You can import categories which are already pre-made for automotive specifically. I'm going to have another webinar specifically talking about how to optimize your categories. I'm not going to go into this in this webinar on how to basically make categories where people are going to search and have a pleasant time on your website searching and browsing. So we'll probably, I believe I have this webinar scheduled for the end of the month, this month. If not, I'm going to schedule it, so make sure you check Shopping Cart Elite calendar on shoppingcartelite.com for optimizing categories, because that's very important. So this is where you would set up your categories. Setting it up is easy. You say main category. Once, if you have the main highlighted and you want to make a subcategory, you just say sub. And if you want to make a third category, you just click on your sub and make a third category. Each category has full description, short description. Personally, I don't bother filling these out, but if you like, you can. And you can put an image for that category. Image is required. You must put an image into all your categories, otherwise your website is going to look kind of cheap when your visitors are going to be browsing it. So definitely put images there. And you need to put brands. We pre-fill a bunch of automotive brands here, but you need to put the brands because if you don't have the brands, you can't add the products. So you have to put brands and categories as your next step. Now, there's 3 steps after that on how to actually enter the product. And like I said, it's kind of, this module is huge. So just to give you an idea of how huge it is, there is, in adding products manually, which I encourage you to watch the recommended videos for sure, there's 7 recommended videos and 19 optional ones. And then for the data mapper, if you want to add your products in bulk, there's 11 recommended videos with 3 optional. And for data sharing, if you want to accept data from someone else and have it synced into your store automatically, there's 3 videos. So basically, all in all, we have close to 40 videos on how to add products. I know it's overwhelming, but you just have to decide how you want to add products. Do you want to do it manually? Do you want to do it through the data mapper? Or do you want to do it through the data share by accepting somebody's products? Personally, I recommend you to watch the recommended videos for adding the products manually, because you need to understand the concept of how the data is structured in Shopping Cart Elite and how to put a product manually and maybe even put some products manually. I mean, you have to put some products yourself, right? You're not going to find everything from everyone that you need for your store through data sharing, for example. So you might want to put one product manually or added something or added a picture or whatever, added the description. So you have to watch these anyway. Data mapper is for those that it might have more than 500 part numbers or in some cases, 5 million part numbers. You have to use a data mapper if you want to go bulk. Manually entering the data, it's a waste of time, and data mapper can solve your problem for that. Obviously, data sharing is the easiest one. As you can see, there's only like a few videos to watch. What data sharing is you go to one of the data partners, and we have Yakuza, which is the automotive data partner, Yakuza.com. We allow you to get all Mimo USA products without paying anything, so the data feed from Yakuza is free. And all you have to do is just become a dealer with them. And then if you're in Shopping Cart Elite, you automatically get an account without any buy-ins or anything like that. So just become a dealer, and then you have to set up your community profile and email them. Don't even bother calling them for the data feed. Once you're registered, once you're good, just go to Contact Us and just put down, I need a data feed for my Shopping Cart Elite store. So you send message, put in your information, say, I need a data feed for my Shopping Cart Elite store. My community ID is this, my community ID password is this, and that's it. Give it 24 hours, and you're going to get all of the Yakuza data in your store automatically, and then you can watch tutorial 17.2 and 17.3 to, actually just 17.2 actually, to accept the data, and it'll show up on your store. So that's how you can add products to your store. Next step is optimizing the prices on the products. And what the price control does is it researches your competition against all the part numbers in your store and tells you how competitive you are. Then you can actually set up a price control option which will put you to be the lowest of any of your competitors. You can say lowest out of all competitors or out of a specific competitor, or you can be the highest. I mean, it's up to you how you want to set it up, but this tool allows you to do the research without doing it manually. Personally, I recommend you to do the research for the products and pricing using Finding What Sells. This will give you a ballpark of where you need to be in the price, because Finding What Sells, if we have time, probably not, but if we have time, I'll show you how it works real quick. It tells you how many was sold in the past 90 days for what price. So it gives you an idea what price you need to be in order to sell that many as well. Okay, so adding employees, these tutorials are straightforward. If you need to add a new user for either work for you or if you're outsourcing stuff such as website design, link exchanges, SEO, whatever you're looking for, if you need to make another user, you would follow these steps. Speaking about SEO, if you don't have time for whatever reason to do link exchanges or doing SEO on your website, on Shopping Cart Elite, if you go to download software, one of the tabs here says rank website. We offer a few different services on doing the SEO and doing the link exchanges for you if you don't have time. If you have time, I encourage you to do this yourself, especially if you're new to this. You should do it yourselves just so you can understand how it works. Probably next month, we're actually experimenting something right now. So next month I'm going to have some solid results, and I'll announce them on how to outsource your work to overseas while managing it in the States. Just to give you a quick idea of how that would work is you would have two computers. One is for you and one is for your invisible AI employee. And you would hire them overseas. And what they would do is during your business hours, they would log into your second computer and they would basically do all the work you need them to do for $1 an hour. While you're doing your work, maybe expanding a second store, maybe doing something proactive, they can be doing your annoying work, sort of, whatever that might be. You can actually see what they do. So it's sort of having like this invisible person next to you working for you, even though, they're actually, the whole way around the world. We're experimenting this right now for our companies. It's working out pretty good as of today. I'll post some results and stats on how to get one for yourself once we finish the experiment. All right, so moving forward, adding customers. This is basically on how to create new customers. If you have your own customers, when you get Shopping Cart Lead in the beginning, you can import them. So order management customers, you can create new customer. If they're wholesale, you can approve them for discounts, personal information, financials. You can see what they were charged. You can import a huge list of your old customers into the system so they automatically get an account. You can set up basically net terms. So everything that has to do with customers is in these tutorials. So I'm not going to go through them. You can obviously watch them yourself and figure it out. And then you can watch the optional ones if you're, like right here we have for if you're doing net accounts for wholesale, so most of you probably will not do that. Customer relation scenarios for anyone who's very new to doing e-commerce customer service. I made this document to give you all kinds of different scenarios of what could happen in your store, and based on that, it should give you an idea how to handle it. So it has like 20 different pages of different scenarios of what could occur, and this is also some good information to give out if you're outsourcing so they can understand how they should handle your customer relations with your store customers. So this is basically managing your customers. You have adding discounts, self-explanatory. If you want to do a promotion for one of your products, that's how you would add discounts. There's a question about which suppliers support data sharing. I'll go over that at the end of the webinar. So processing orders, a lot of people actually who use Shopping Cart Lead probably don't even know about these, so definitely encourage you to check them out. Once the customer buys from you, so basically the way the workflow works is customer goes on your website, he checks out, he buys something from you. This is where you manage it. Once you're ready to place an order with your supplier, you would use the order assignment screen, which is located here. Hopefully it's going to work. Okay, good. This screen shows you, basically it says order came in, no problems. Usually there's a caution flag if there's any problems. And if you press order assign, it's going to automatically assign it to whatever supplier you set this product up for in the beginning through product setup. And let me just quickly auto assign this. And then once you're ready, you press view details, and it shows you that, this is the product, quantity you want, going ground, here's the price, and, this is the order. You can click on the customer, you can reassign it to someone else, you can move it to be invoiced on another date. Basically, you press send to supplier, and you can do it through email, fax, or Shopping Cart Lead feed. Press send, and they'll get an email. Once they get the email, you want to check to make sure they give you a tracking number. So the way you do that is you go to Order Management, Order Tracking, and through here you can basically say, I want to get all orders that have not been shipped yet for all accounts, for all suppliers, and basically it's going to give you, how many days has passed, whatever orders. These are just old ones, but based on this, you can contact your supplier and tell them, I need a tracking number for this order. And then once he gives it to you, you just go here, ship it out and put in the tracking number, and that order will disappear from here. So this is sort of your follow-up order management screen to make sure that all the tracking numbers are in for all of your processed orders. And this screen is to assign the orders to your suppliers. And in tutorials, this is all under processing orders. Then if somebody wants to return the product, you go through processing returns, and these are the two tutorials that you watch to get the return in. If you're designing your website or you're hiring someone to design the website, these are tutorials for doing that. And what we did with website design, we integrated the complete CSS classes of everything that has to do with design in the back office under themes. You can have different kinds of themes here. For different discount specials, if you want to run a special on a certain date, you can basically make a new theme with a new banner, schedule a time for it, and run it. But basically, in the tutorials, I go over like right here, development tools for web design. So I actually show you how you can use some of the tools to change different colors of your site. Everything is here, so you can right-click on it, and you can preview if it's an image. So in this case, right here, if it's an image, you can see what the image is like. You can see the class names. You can choose the color using this thing here. Now, if you're wondering of how different can this website look, so a lot of people say, hey, some of your sites look the same. Here's an example of how different a website can look using the same exact template. So this is a black-on-black template. If you notice, the header is linked as one. Every single page looks completely different. So you can really do a lot with changing the classes around and changing absolutely everything that has to do on the site. So you go from this, see how you have the white lines and everything like that, to something like this. And I know there's a few others that I know just messing around with the colors. So you can do a few different things. There's one more template that somebody is making. They're making it white on white, like totally white transparent, which is going to be really nice. So it's going to be another way of customizing it to look totally different. I actually have one recent design here, just to show you quickly. See, like you can have the banner as if it's peeling off. Like you can do different things. So that's as far as the design, and this is what the tutorial is about. So now, by the time you get here, now you're ready to, this is setting up your store. So once you get to selling on Google Base, you're pretty much done with setting up your store. Now you're ready to market your store. So you can see that the software is pretty overwhelming, but if you put everything in a little nutshell, it's not that much, stuff. Especially, you're not going to be using all the features. You're going to only use whatever you need. So once you understand how everything works and know what you're selling and know, who your target market is and what you're selling and so on, everything should be kind of a piece of cake for you as far as setting up the store. So going from step one, which is store setup, down to designing the website. Well, designing the website is a project of its own, so we'll just stop at processing returns, which is from store setup to processing returns is what you need to know. As far as setting the store, you're only doing these two steps. In under a week, you can do this. So all these tasks can be completed in under a week. That's including adding products, right? So if you're doing data sharing, you can get a flood of products into your store through data sharing immediately, and then slowly add your own products. You should concentrate on the categories, brands, picking out your suppliers, what sells. So 20 to 40 hours, you can probably do some work on the weekday, finish it off on the weekend. Just to give you an idea of, I have this little sheet here. One of my project managers who is responsible to get the sites built within a week, this is what they do. So everything that I just showed you, this is their kind of to-do list for each store, and they actually do about 3 to 4 stores per week for me. So they actually set up 4 stores per week by themselves. So one individual working about 30 hours a week sets up 4 stores for me. So they, finding the domain, obviously, I give it to them. They do the terms, about us, RSS feeds, YouTube feeds. They load the products with data sharing. They make sure all categories, images are relevant, and all product images are relevant to the website. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, here's one site that they did, Custom 300C, which is specializing in Chrysler 300. So they went to every product, which was a part of data sharing. They deleted the general image that was in the data sharing, and they replaced it with a Chrysler 300C image, so it's relevant to the niche. So when somebody who owns a Chrysler 300 comes to this site, they're not going to see a bunch of different cars like Honda and Escalade and whatever else was there in the general image when they got it. So all images were replaced. All category images were replaced with Chrysler 300 relevant, images. And These are only all Chrysler 300 and Dodge Magnum parts here. So all of this was done within a week, and this is one of the 4 stores that was done in a week. So if she can do it in a week, 4 stores, and obviously she's familiar with shopping correctly and knows what she's doing. For someone who's totally new to this, it should take you 1 week to do this. I see there's some questions coming in. Okay, there's a question about Google Base. I'm going to jump into that real quick. Google Base, you need to verify your store first through Webmaster Tools. So if you remember on website setup, Google Webmaster Tools, you need to get that done first. Once that's done, then you can set up the Google Base based on the tutorial, and you need to claim your URL in Google Base. They ask you, claim your URL, you click on it, and if you have it set up in the Webmaster Tools, then it's going to work. And keep in mind that you need to have one Google account for one website. You can't have one account for multiple websites. Maybe one day we will. I know Google Base offers a multi-account system, but their multi-account system doesn't really work very well. So if you want to sell in Google Base, which is, this is a no-brainer, really. Look, just to give you an idea how of a no-brainer it is, let me go to Google real quick. I'll just show you. Within 1 second of setting up your Google Base, the way you do it, just for anyone who's not familiar with it, you go to General Marketplace. Let me just log in here first, and then okay. You go to General Marketplace, go to Frugal, click Next, put in your Gmail, email, and password, and you're done. And let me show you what happens. If you go to Google Base, depending, of course, how many products you have in your store, on Auto Accessories store, 800,000 products got uploaded. Okay? Check this out. Data quality, how many errors? Less than 1% because of a short description on a few products. Out of 800,000, there's no errors, in other words. Google Base, one of the ways they rank you, and I'm actually going to have a lot of different webinars coming up on how to get better rank in Google Base. There's a few ways to do it, which basically can skyrocket your search clicks from 30 to 500. So we'll go into the webinars later, but one of the ranking factors is how good is your data. And as you can see, Shopping Cart Elite makes sure that your data is close to perfect. Obviously, if you don't have a description, nothing we can do about it. But if you have a description, you can have zeros everywhere. And all I had to do to submit 800,000 products is put in my email and password, and I get 800,000 products. It gets about impressions of how many times my product has shown up to the people who search in Google, close to like 400. And if you can see, it's like from 30 to 15 clicks a day on average, doing nothing. Literally, you didn't do anything. All you did was put in an email and password, click submit, and you're already getting traffic. A lot of good feedback about Google Base because it just, you really don't do anything, and it just gets you traffic out of nowhere, and you do get some orders here and there, which helps you, pay for anyone who's paying for Shopping Cart Elite. It helps you pay for Shopping Cart Elite. It's not the solution to, become very successful with your store, but it's definitely one of the ways. Next webinars I'm going to have, I'm going to actually show you how you can utilize this Google Base feature with paid advertising and AdWords, because there's actually a new feature in AdWords which can link your Google Base account to AdWords and actually pay for your clicks from Google, from your Google Base account, which can basically, whatever you want to sell pretty much, you can pay for your traffic, and if you think you got a good price and a good product, you can get unlimited amount of clicks from there. And also I'm going to show you how to increase your ranking naturally in Google Base, and that has to do with reviews for your website, and we'll get into that on another webinar probably next month. That's Google Base for you. eBay, somebody's asked about eBay. Same idea as Google Base, except it's not directly integrated to eBay. It's integrated with TurboLister. So once you do your eBay data feed, and it's not going to do all the products, you actually search which products you want and choose what template you want and so on. once you do the eBay, you can sell on eBay using the product page template of your website, and these tutorials will go over on how to do it and give you a step-by-step process of integrating it with TurboLister and posting it on and so on. So there's marketing strategy, selling on eBay, utilizing this tool, and so on. And if you need to download the TurboLister, it's right here as well. I'm going to do another webinar talking about promoting your website with links, articles, keywords, and so on. So we're going to finish this webinar with setting up your store only. Okay, so for anyone who is really new to Shopping Cart Lead, like this is your first time you use it, do these steps. Step 1 and Step 2, store setup, website setup. If you're going to be finished with it within a week, and you can go through the rest of these stuff, like obviously you need to set up products, suppliers, and so on, that's the next step. So let's do one thing at a time. Do store setup first, website setup second. Once you're done with these, go through all of these, and obviously you need to add categories, suppliers, products, and so on. And once you're finished with understanding how the system works, so you're going to be finished watching the tutorials up to processing returns, and you'll have the products and your store set up, now you'll be ready to rank your store, promote it, gain traffic, and so on. So this is when we're going to do the next webinar, or for those who are watching a recording of this, you can just watch the next webinar on the list. Before we end this webinar, does anyone have any questions about anything that I discussed, any modules, anything at all? I'll just give you a few minutes to post some questions here if you do have them. Someone asked what suppliers support data sharing. At the moment, we have Yakuza and SCE Data, which handle it for the automotive industry. So scedata.com and Yakuza.com handles data sharing for the automotive industry. There's a question about, do we have tutorials for designing custom headers? You will find everything under designing website. It says, the designing with Shopping Cart Lead gives you an overview. Should you redesign your website? That's answering your question if you should or not. And doing it yourself or hiring a graphic designer. So this is kind of educational lessons. Then if you do want to continue doing it, 16.3 and 16.6 is how you would do that. There is a question, what kind of prices would we be looking at for the marketing tools? Can you be a little bit more clear about what marketing tools are you talking about? Because everything that you see in Shopping Cart Lead is included if you're under the partnership program or if you're paying for Shopping Cart Lead. Okay, it's included. But okay, so the question was about finding what sells. You need the TerraPeak tool. I believe for eBay Motors it's $35 per month. For regular eBay it's $25 per month. That's TerraPeak. The Import Genius, you need it is only if you're importing products. The Mazenda tool is only if you need the full-blown statistics because there's just too much results there. You need to scrape them. That's where you would use the Mazenda tool, and they charge, I believe, like $100 per month. Cancel any time. You can cancel any time on anything, but like I said before, if you need help and you can't afford any of these tools and you need them, we'll be happy to help you. Just contact us directly, and we will see what we can do for you. There's a question about when using the data feeds, can we specify the specific niche products we want to list? For example, diesel performance. One of the things that you can do in data sharing is specify which vehicles you want to get the data feeds for. So in other words, let's say there is 100 different brands, and you can say, I only want to see parts for Dodge Ram. And as you go through brand by brand, products that do not fit a Dodge Ram will not be shown to you. You can't just say category diesel because we don't have a way to filter by categories of products, but we filter it by brand and by vehicle. So if you know all the diesel cars that you want to sell for example, you can enter them in, and then whatever products will not fit those cars will not show up. But honestly, for the diesel industry, you probably need to put your own data in, and a lot of the diesel manufacturers don't even follow make and model. They just do everything by abbreviations and calling cars by alias names and engine types and so on. So from what I've seen in the industry, all diesel websites are not even vehicle specific, they're option specific. So if you want to know what option specific means, if you do go to adding products manually, actually, I'm sorry, if you go to adding categories and brands and clicking on defining product type and product application, one of the definitions for products with options is here, and you can get an idea right here, products with attributes or options. You can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But for diesel products, you probably will need to stick to products with options or attributes. There's a question, when you assign the order, is the PO automatically sent to suppliers? It's as automatic as it gets, but you need to verify what you're sending, right? You don't want to just send stuff that goes in, because what if it's a charge? What if it's a fraud and you're going to send it automatically and then it's going to charge back to you? Or what if there's some special notes, or there could be all kinds of different things on an order. So you don't want to just send stuff automatically to suppliers. You want to review them. So it's as automatic as it gets. As I said, you have an order, it goes in here. Once you're ready to invoice, you press auto assign. It automatically assigns which supplier is going to go to. Once you review it, you press send to supplier. If they have shopping cart lead integration, you can do it through shopping cart lead feed, which as of June 9, 2010 is still not ready, so you can't actually use it as of today, but it will be sometime this year. At the moment, you can either do email or fax. Usually, email is the best way, and you can put additional information, click send, and they'll get an email from you. Okay, there's a question if you have to pay for SCE data. Yakuza data feeds are free. SCE data feeds are not free. I believe their fee is, if you're under the partnership program, it's $25 per month. If you're shopping cart lead direct, it's $50 per month for unlimited data. Personally, if you have a niche site, you don't need SCE data, because there's only so many products that you need to add, and you need to kind of maintain them on a more personal level for your customers. So you still need to go and edit it, and you're limited to what you can add with SCE data. Like, you can add general stuff, but you can't go to a specific part number and put a specific application image for that part number or something like that. So if you have a very niche site for a specific car, I would recommend sticking to doing the data yourself. If you have a general store, or if you have a big niche like the Civic, for example, or I know the Chrysler 300 had over 150 products, and you want to just fast pace it, SCE data would be a good solution for you. Do check upcoming webinars. I know a lot of people are busy every day, but one thing I want to tell you is there is a lot of information that you need to intake in order to succeed in this business. You need to understand it. So the more information you get, and it doesn't even have to be all from me. It could be your own pace of learning with other sources. It could be anything. You need to get as much information as you can, and you need to understand everything, not just shopping cart leads, but just how the whole thing works, ranking, how that works. That's the only way you're going to succeed. If you're going to fill up your time instead of watching TV or doing something else, if you're really going to put your full attention toward building your store, I can almost promise you that it will be successful. We had this partnership program before. A lot of shopping cart lead clients who have been with us, I mean, we're looking at gross revenues from individual stores ranging from, I don't know, $5,000 to $30,000 per month, and they're only, a year old or under a year old, and it did not happen with everyone. So it only happened with those that really wanted this to happen, and they did everything that they possibly can, including the tutorials is just your basic stuff. These webinars, which if you keep missing them, for example, you're not going to go and watch all of them in an hour long. It's just too much information. So you want to kind of take a slow pace, but also make sure you follow through with them. And whenever you have a free chance, try to learn something new. I've been doing this for 10 years, and every day I try to kind of, even when I'm driving from and to work, I try to listen to the different marketing videos, and you'd be surprised. I learn new stuff every week. In fact, every day when I read the technology news, about different startups or whatever. So that's the only way you're going to really succeed in this, is if you're really going to kind of change your attitude towards this if you already haven't, and do your very best to get the store up and running. The goal here is for you to understand how this works. If this is going to make logical sense to you, you'll see results from it, then you'll keep going. If you don't understand how this works, and you don't understand the concept of finding the right products at the right prices and getting traffic and organizing your store specifically and not getting advice from other people, then you're going to be like the rest of the stores that don't do very well. There's a question about one of those rank your website services, if these 50 link exchanges will be generated from shopping cart lead clients. The answer is no. Not that shopping cart lead clients are irrelevant, but it's a little unfair for us to rank shopping cart lead clients because you can theoretically do it yourself, and every shopping cart lead client is pretty active with their link exchanges. So these 50 link exchanges, and I believe our list is about a few hundred, is third-party websites which are not a part of shopping cart lead. And you will see results. I mean, I went through this webinar. I believe my last webinar I showed you an example. If you go to Google, type in webinar. This is the Secret Weapons Performance Store. This is the one that I was showing you today, front end and back office of it. So any keyword you type in with webinar in it, you will see that it's either number 1 or number 2. In order to get to these results, it took about 250 links, these links. You can do them yourself. We actually, one of the tutorials, we teach you how to do the links yourself. And we'd like you to do it yourself so you can understand the concept, but sometimes it's just you don't have time, or it becomes too much, or you just don't like to do it, period. You'd rather pay someone to do it because you just can't take it. Like me, for example, I can't do links. I did it back in 2001 for 3 years. Not for me. If it's worth it for you, you can buy it. These are all relevant link partners. You will see results after you do so many. It depends what your website is, what keyword you want to rank for, but just to give you an idea, you got 3 million results here, webinar, number 2, 250 links was the result of that. How do you find shopping cart lead sites for link exchange? You'd rather spend time finding link exchange partners not on shopping cart lead, and the main reason why, because we're actually working on a tool which will give you access to link exchange with shopping cart lead clients without going and looking for them. So it's going to save you some time, and I'm sure you'll be very upset if you spend a few months doing it and then all of a sudden everything just gets handed to you on a silver platter. If you're going to do link exchanges, do them with third-party link partners. Eventually, within the next few months, we'll have that other tool where you can link exchange with other shopping cart lead clients. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thanks for everyone for coming. Have a good evening, and I hope to see you on the next webinar.